So I've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is, as it turns out, Time Thief's actually a pretty good deck in Duel Links. Way stronger than I originally thought going into testing it. But then there's the bad news. If you want to play this deck, oh boy, you better hope you have some APM. Yeah, turns out having 3 or more different effects to activate during each standby phase, combined with the fact this deck has a ton of really long combos, and the fact that its disruption isn't the kind of disruption you can just face roll your keyboard for, you really have to think about when you want to use it, means that Time Thief's, ironically their biggest opponent, is actually the time. Now I don't want to scare you guys away from this deck just because it requires you to play like you're playing a game of Osu, because honestly, it's probably one of the more fun rank 4 spam decks they've ever added to the game. Certainly a hell of a lot more fun than having a skill that just plays the deck for you. But without further ado, let me just show you. So here's today's deck list. Now just a reminder before I get to the deck list, if you guys are enjoying today's video and think you want to see some more content and more videos from me in the future, please remember to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel down below. Alright, let's jump into this deck list. So first things first, let's go through the skill. So the skill basically has 2 effects. The first thing is it adds a Time Thief Redoer to your extra deck, which is this deck's main boss monster. This thing takes 2 level 4 monsters. Once per turn during the standby phase, it sucks up a card from the top of your opponent's deck. Then, based on the materials below it, it can gain various effects. Monster, banish this card until the end phase. Spell, draw a card. Trap, place 1 face-up card your opponent controls on top of the deck. And you can use all of these effects if you just use them all at the same time. So, really powerful card, you'll see it a shit ton during all the gameplay. Yeah, it's a fantastic card. Then we have the second effect of the skill. Reveal a Time Thief Psychic monster or Time Thief Startup in your hand to add 1 Time Thief Machine monster or Time Thief Startup from your deck to your hand. If your opponent controls no cards, shuffle 1 card from your hand into the deck. So basically a bit of a consistency skill. Most of the time it's going to be used to either search for your spell card or search for Regulator, because Regulator is basically this deck's main starter monster. Regulator is pretty simple. When it's on the field, you can tribute it to summon out 2 Time Thief monsters from your deck, but you have to control no other monsters to use this effect. Then as an additional effect where in the graveyard, if an Xyz monster you control destroy a battle while it's in the graveyard, you can special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. So your main starter, you summon this thing, tribute it off, summon out 2 Time Thieves. Then of course we have the rest of the lineup. Time Thief Winder. You can attach 1 material from an Xyz monster you control, special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal special summoned, you can add a Time Thief card from your deck to your hand, except itself. Then we have your Bezel ship. Quick effect, you can tribute this card to target 1 Time Thief Xyz monster you control, attach 1 card from your opponent's graveyard to this monster as material, so sort of like a DD Crow style effect, and obviously you can give your Redoer a bunch of various different effects by stealing whatever type of card you want. You can attach 1 material from an Xyz monster you control, special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field, that's from the graveyard. You can only use each effect once per turn. Alright, then we have the final one, your Time Thief Adjuster. If you normal special summon a Time Thief monster except Time Thief Adjuster, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal special summoned, you can send 1 Time Thief card from your deck to the graveyard. But keep in mind, you cannot use both effects in the same turn, so you're either using this as extension or using it for its Foolish Burial effect. You can't use both in the same turn. Moving on to the spell and trap cards, we have Time Thief Startup. This thing has 2 effects. The first one is you can special summon a Time Thief monster from your hand, so a great little extender tool. The second effect is something you're not going to use all that often, but it does come up. During your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard to target a Time Thief Xyz monster you control, attach 3 Time Thief cards of different types to that monster as material. So, it doesn't come up all that often considering we don't actually have that many Time Thief spells, so at most you can only ever do this 1 singular time, but I have used it a couple of times and it does sort of come up. Also keep in mind this is the card that is super referenced in your skill. You can use this to search for your machine type monsters, and you can search for it with the skill to extend and all that kind of stuff. Alright, then we have Time Thief Flyback. This card has 2 effects, but you're realistically only using 1 of them. The first effect is target a Time Thief Xyz monster you control, attach 1 Time Thief card from your hand or deck to it as material. You're very rarely using this effect. You're basically, the only reason this is in the deck is for the second effect. You can banish this card from your graveyard, target a Time Thief Xyz monster you control, attach 1 card from your opponent's graveyard to it as material. So, because you have a Foolish Burial in the deck, via the effect of Adjuster, quite often you'll dump this card to the graveyard to use during your opponent's turn to suck up various things from their graveyard, very similar to the Bezel ship. So 2 lots of anti-graveyard in the deck makes graveyard decks very bad against this one if this deck gets to go first. Alright, also because the skill can shuffle cards back into the deck, if this is ever in your opening hand, you're probably shuffling it back into the deck. Alright, then we have Time Thief Retrograde. This is a counter trap, and it's also searchable because you're going to be searching this a shit ton off your Winder. When a spell or trap card is activated while you control a Time Thief Xyz monster, negate the activation. If you do, attach that card to a Time Thief Xyz monster you control as material. An insanely busted card for the deck. For those of you that know Duel Links history, counter traps have had a pretty insane time in Duel Links. They've caused a lot of decks to end up getting banned or limited, and this card is just no exception to the rule, just being completely busted. Thankfully, this thing isn't an Omni, so it doesn't deal with monster effects, but dealing with spelling trap cards just protects your whole field from typical removal sources, things like the Book of Eclipse, or even Droplet if your opponent has no trap cards in hand. It's a fantastic card, and you're definitely going to search for this a lot. Moving on to the extra deck, and there's actually only one brand new card to go through, and that is of course your Perpetua. This card is basically the only new card in here because the other one is from the skill. This takes 2 level 4 monsters. During the standby phase, detach from material from this card, target a Time Thief monster in your graveyard, special summon that monster. So very good because it allows you to special summon back things like the Bezel ship to remove your opponent's graveyard, or during your own turn maybe, you can summon back things like your Winder to search for various different cards in your deck. So a very powerful tool. Then it has another effect. Quick effect, target one other Xyz monster you control, attach 1 Time Thief card from your deck to it as material. Obviously insane in combination with a Redoer, because you can attach spells to it to draw cards, you attach traps to it to make it so that you can remove your opponent's stuff, or even attach monsters to it to make sure you can actually dodge your opponent's stuff. A very powerful tool, and yeah, you're probably going to want to see this most of the time. I'm playing 2 of it, but you could probably get away with only 1 copy, but yeah, I love this card enough to play 2 of it. And last thing I want to cover with this deck list is the techs. So the techs in this deck are basically, you want stuff to help you go second, because this deck going second does not feel very good. Going first, the deck is completely insane. It definitely way prefers to go first, but going second, the R-type itself, excluding all the techs, can only realistically play through like 1 disruption if you're lucky, through things like your spell card special summon or your adjusted special summon, but typically it doesn't feel very good going second. So if you can play through like 1-ish disruption, then you just play a shit ton of tech cards to try to help you get through the rest of it. Things like, of course, your Book of Eclipse, or things like Droplet. You can also play things like Lances, your Chalices, Book of Moons, literally anything that just can play through opponent's back row, play it in this deck list. I wouldn't recommend playing trap cards that are just aimed to make the going first better, because going first in this deck is already insane. Just play cards that help you go second, as this deck definitely needs it. Alright guys, that's going to do it for the decklist portion of the video. The rest of the video gameplay showcasing the decklist in action, and without further ado, let's jump into it. Alright, so I played the shit out of this decklist yesterday. I went from like Platinum 4 or something all the way up to Legend 4, so not quite at COG yet, but could definitely get there. And I played so many games that I just have a shit ton of replays today. They've got 10 replays to go through, so I might fast forward some of these because I'm going to be here for absolutely forever, but yeah, I had a lot of fun with this deck, outside of the constant timeouts. Basically, if you start off with this deck list and you find yourself timing out a bunch, don't worry, it does get a bit easier once you've sort of memorized the combos and it goes a bit more autopilot, but typically, yeah, it does take a little bit of a learning curve. Once you do know how to play the deck, you're going to have a good time with it, as it's very, very fun. Alright. So this replay was just a bit of a mess around one. I'm pretty sure this was the my opponent bricked, but I just wanted to show playing through a bunch of hand traps because I thought it was kind of funny. Alright, so searching for my Regulator, normal to Regulator. He's going to effect Veiler it. Completely fine. I can then use my startup to special summon. He then Veilers that one as well. Alright, sure. These two become, of course, the Redoer. It's a shame there's no character for this, there's no Redoer animation, because I think Redoer would have a banger animation. He tries to book a Moon, I can now dodge that as well. Very important I do this, because I actually want to have my spell card active, or my trap card active, which needs a Time Thief on the field. Normal summons the Stilts, we're just going to Droplet that. Using the trap card, because we basically know what he's got left anyway, since he tried to summon a monster. So we don't need the spawn trap card negate anymore. And yeah, he's just done so from here. Summon the Adjuster, because we normal summon a monster. Make Musketeer, because basically summon anything here and he's just dead. Alright. It's a bit of a quick one there, my opponent just bricked, but I thought it was pretty funny to watch this deck play through a bunch of hand traps. Alright. So that is one thing this deck does kind of have going for it. I don't think Effect Veiler is a very effective hand trap against it, as you just saw, so at least even going first, if your opponent has hand traps, it doesn't matter too much. Maybe Nibiru, that would probably be a bit annoying. But even then, you can dodge the Nibiru's effect if you've got a monster below your guy, so not the worst. Alright, summoning the Regulator. Regulator gonna summon out 2 from deck. Adjust to center grave. Making your Redoer. By the way, this deck has a shit ton of just 1-card combos. Literally the entire deck just feels like a 1-card combo. Even just the spell card by itself, or the dog by itself, or Adjuster by itself, or your Winder by itself, all these cards are all 1-card combos. They just take a little bit to learn exactly how they work. And you'll definitely learn how they work by just playing them. Alright, or just by watching this video and recreating some of the combos you see. So searching the trap card, reviving the Bezel. Making the Perpetua. Perpetua attaching. Redoer searching, set 3 and pass. Because they all become 1-card combos because of the skill, obviously. Alright, during the stand phase, we're going to suck up a card, revive a card. And I believe, did I place a trap card below him yet? Yeah, I placed a trap card below him. And this is, by the way, why we're playing exactly 3 trap cards, because normally you're going to search for a trap card, you're going to dump a trap card to grave, and then you need 1 more to attach with your Perpetua in case you miss when stealing from top of your opponent's deck, to make sure this card guarantees there's a trap below it, so that's the main form of removal. Alright, up against the Sky Striker. Anyway, 0 targets his own card. I'm now going to use my non-target removal source. Oh, it's going to suck up his Ray below my monster. Probably do that a little bit early, it doesn't matter. Because this is non-target, I can then remove the thing he tried to summon from Ray. Now he has no Sky Strikers left and basically no way to get them on the field anymore, aside from removing this. Can negate the engage, suck that up as well. Helps a back row. I don't know why he waited so long to try to pull a back row, honestly, because he probably should just try to stop it so the try to hit the Retrograde before he tried using engage. I don't know why he would. Anyway. Alright, moving on. Alright, up against Yamato, or Yamato, something like that. If I read those characters correctly. Alright. So I believe this guy's playing the discount God cards, Sacred Beast. Alright, so once again, a 1-card combo, this time using just the Adjuster. Because now we use the skill, search for the other card that we need, which is the dog. Summon the dog. Dog summon 2 from deck. Gonna be using the Adjuster's effect to mill. Searching for the spell card so we can special summon the Adjuster from hand. Milling the Bezel this time. So if you start off with this card, normally your best 1-card combo is using Winder, and that was the one you saw in the previous replay. All the other combos are a little bit less optimal, but generally are completely fine anyway, because you just have rest of your hand is probably tech cards anyway, so you're probably still fine. Alright. Like in this case, I didn't even need to search for the trap card because I already had it, although I would need to search for this to do the combo anyway, because you can only use one of this card's effects per turn, and we needed it to send Bezel Ship to the grave. All this will make sense probably once you play the deck a little bit, so it might just sound like I'm rambling a lot though in the video. Alright, Perpetua going to be attaching, drawing an extra card. Alright, attaching to top opponent's deck, resummoning the Bezel Ship, attaching a trap to this card. Dark Hole, so we're definitely going to be negating that one. Kind of like to have our monsters remain on the field. Alright, Beast's going to be searching for the spell card. Going to hold onto our removal here, because we only technically have one lot of actual removal with this deck. Droplet negate this, so if he tributes it, it gets negated. Then we can suck it up before he can use the Spirit Gates to grab it back. I probably should have waited for him to use the Spirit Gates effect maybe before sucking it up. Maybe? I don't know. Alright. Try to summon out the Rebellion Lord of Phantasms. But that's definitely not going to cut it. We can suck that up. Even if it was completely untargetable via its field spell, you can still suck it up. I'm pretty sure that's all the field spell does, it just makes them untargetable, right? It's been a while since I've played this deck. Crackdown's my monster, which is fine because he's got nothing left. We can just summon some Xyzs and suck it up. I probably shouldn't have, because I'm pretty sure I used this card's third effect to use a monster last turn to banish it. Probably shouldn't have done that, so I could have dodged this regardless, but it's fine. Knightmare Phoenix can now remove that Crackdown, and yeah, he's out of here. Yeah, I was surprised to learn initially this deck can actually play Link monsters. Not that we're playing many of them. You could probably play Knightmare Unicorn here if you wanted to, but yeah, I was surprised it couldn't even use Link monsters at all. Thought the skill would lock you to Xyz, that would make sense, but yeah, who am I to complain? Alright, up against Mizard, who was playing Tachyon, and we'll go on second this time. I think I had probably no real business winning this game, if I'm honest. Alright, so special summons searches for a dude. We'll fast forward him a little bit. Does typical Tachyon-y stuff. I think he actually ends on the Tachyon. I think most people upgrade the Tachyon to another monster, but he ends on it. Book of Eclipse forces out the Lance. Alright, going to be searching for our Doggo. Normal summon Doggo, not going to use the effect because obviously he will just negate it with the trap card. So we're going to try and bait out the effect with our Adjuster here. Even if he didn't negate this and the Adjuster hit the field, I probably could have just made a redo here and beat over this, which would have made the trap card effectively useless. Would have mean I would have had end my turn on basically nothing, but I still had ways to keep going, basically. But thankfully he didn't negate this, so cool, I can just use my Regulator now and just do my full combo. Veiler, don't care. I don't know why he didn't Veiler the dog. I don't... Anyway, now that would have actually been bad for my turn. Alright, beat over his card. I basically ended on what I said I was going to end on anyway, even if he did negate the other... Or didn't actually use the negate. Alright. Yep, your dragon, summoning some dudes to the field. Out comes Tachyon again? Is this his second Tachyon? Man's playing 2 Tachyon? Alright, not gonna use my suck up yet, gonna wait till something important comes out. Now we're gonna Droplet that. He's gonna Lance it, and now we're gonna suck it up. And thankfully, he wasn't able to extend any further, because that was a little bit risky there if he had something to continue going. Sucks up my Duel. But thankfully, we can search for our second Doggo, which is why you would play at least 2 of this. You can probably get away with playing 3 of this, but yeah, because the skill can search with like every single card in the deck, you probably only need 2. Alright, Phoenix, grab that Crackdown back, and he's already conceded. Alright, up next, where are we at? Oh, Barbas. A lot of replays in this video. Alright, he's playing... I don't know if this is the Gaia player. I know I played at least one Gaia player during the run. I think this might have been Dark Magician. Oh yeah, this... I remember this game now. This is the game I had absolutely 0 reason to win. I should not have won this. Alright, nice little Dark Magician animation first. Alright. Speed him up a little bit. Successor Soul. Puts a dude on field and passes. Alright, so I drew a horrendous hand. Typically, this hand would be okay if I just drew a way to search for the special summon spell, but I couldn't proc my skill here because I happened to draw the 2 machines in my deck rather than like all the other cards. This is an incredibly rare brick for this deck, because normally I think we've got like 10 ways to proc the skill in this deck or something, so yeah, a bit annoying. So I'm just going to set and pass and hope that like a Book of Eclipse could save me. Which, to be fair, is actually quite likely. Book of Eclipse flip everything face down. Unless they're a link deck, can be pretty... Yeah, be pretty, safe bet to keep yourself alive, even if it does draw them a billion cards. I'm gonna flip that face down, I don't want him stealing my, ship. Alright, pass it over. Once again, didn't draw a way to proc my skill, so we're a little bit triggered at this point. But then, he just lets me Xyz summon, he just didn't remove this, I mean, deserved because I was bricking anyway, so it's only fair. Because typically you could play through this 1-lot disruption anyway, especially with this thing on the field now. Crackdown, we're now going to dodge that. Yeah, against Time Thief, it's generally better to try to stop them going into Xyz monsters rather than letting them get into the Xyz monsters and then try to remove them. He does manage to remove my dude this time, but my Regulator resummons. And of course, Regulator can now summon 2 dudes. And from here, we're pretty happy. Look at the resource we've generated back. Knightmare Phoenix to make sure that last back row isn't anything annoying, and then, yeah, he's dead from here. Making Raiders Knight. Making Raiders Knight even bigger. I think I forgot to revive the Bezel from Grave. Yes, I could have actually had him even bigger than this. We'd nearly come back to bite me with the hand trap, but it's still thankfully just enough for lethal. Like 100 over. Alright, so even with the brick, we still came out with a dub. But yeah, typically you shouldn't brick with this deck. It's very hard to brick. The entire deck is a 1-card combo. Actually. Alright, and even then that was still the 1-card combo, it's just we didn't draw the extender piece, so it made it pretty hard to go second. Alright. So, searching for our Regulator, normal summon Regulator. He's going to crow the Regulator? Just crow the... Okay, he hasn't played against this deck before. You don't crow this, you crow like the Bezel or something. To be fair, Regulator does actually have a graveyard effect, but yeah, that's not what your target should be this thing. Most of the time, the Bezel. That's his main extender piece. Alright, start up special summon. These two become the Perpetua. Attaching the material so we can draw 1 card. Unfortunately, only getting 1 tech this time, which is definitely below average. Sucking up, but thankfully this deck is also really good going first against specifically Lyrillus, because Lyrillus is all about their graveyard with a lot of their cards, and we have normally 2 lots of ways to deal with it. I think the trap card's below him, or somewhere. There it is. So we're going to have 2 ways to deal with graveyard in this. So puts the Cobalt Sparrow on the field, we can get rid of that. Also, of course, Redo is non-target removal, and this deck relies on being immune to targeting. Alright, makes the Nightingale very early for some reason. Nice little animation. Alright, oh, I accidentally fast-forwarded, and we just redo his card. Yeah, apologies for the fast-forward, but yeah, we just redo his card, so... Alright, moving on. So where are we up to? Is it Arnob? Up to Arnob? I hope they didn't click on the same replay twice. Alright. So this was a Wind Witch player. Once again, going first. Yeah, most of these replays I think are going first. Actually, might actually be half and half, but typically your wins come from going first, not as so much going second. You can win going second, obviously, but yeah, it's a lot harder. Alright, Regulator summoning 2 dudes, sending the trap, making the redoer. I hope it's at least 1 replay in here which shows me doing the full combo of just the dog, or just with the startup. Alright, Perpetua going to be attaching, redoer searching, set 3 and passing. Eclipse being used, we're going to have to negate that. Otherwise we wouldn't be able to use this to negate for the rest of the turn anyway. Perpetua now going to be using their effects. Alright. So, Book of Eclipse is very good versus Wind Witch, actually. As if you get a single monster in their field face down, they can't use their special summon anymore. Their special summon from hand, level 4. So I'm just going to redo one of their cards, and then Book of Moon the other one, because if this thing is face down, he's screwed over. And we actually had a second Book of Eclipse for his Lance. That wouldn't have made him very happy. Yeah, from here, he literally can't play the game no matter what he's got. You can do 1 more summon, and then, yeah, he can't do anything else. I guess he can make the level 5, maybe? That's 2 tuners. He literally couldn't do anything. And he just concedes. Alright. Yeah, typically that deck is actually pretty good at playing through Disruption, but not flipping face down Disruption. That is very good versus Wind Witch. They need their field cleared for their level 4. Or level 3. I think it's level 3 actually. It changed itself to level 4. You get what I mean. Alright, going second. And I probably should have lost this game as well, actually. Notice a common trend with these going second games. I probably should have lost them if my opponent was a little bit more big-brained. Alright, so fast forward his turn a bit because he takes a long ass time. Not that I can talk, this deck takes forever to set up. Actually going through the level year 2, so it's an extended combo. Alright, and then passing. So first thing we do, Book of Eclipse. And then he uses the Phantom Swing, which is really annoying because we don't actually have a way to proc our skill again. If we had a way to proc our skill here, we would have like, or if we had the spell card in hand somehow, we could normal summon one dog, if he pops it, then we just spell card summon the other one. So, a little bit unlucky again that we didn't actually draw a way to activate the skill, but yeah, it's fine. Because he was dumb, and let the Regulator go off. I don't know why you wouldn't use the trap card here with the spell card on pop here. Maybe assumed I would actually be able to use my skill or something, I don't know. Either way, now he's doomed. I think it's only fair though, considering how badly our hand just didn't have a way to proc the skill, or have our spell card in hand just to use. Alright, summons an Ouroboros, but does get to pop one of our cards. Too late for him though now, as now that we have used our search effect, we can use our skill. Special summon, Raider's Knight. Unless that back row is something that can deal with this, he is donezo. Rebellion, Bezel shit for a little bit more damage. And we could even Droplet to half his attack if we wanted to, but he's already dead. Alright. Final two. That is typically the game plan going second. You have two plans going second. You either try to use a Book of Moon or a Droplet or whatever, or some way to just deal with your opponent's field, then just beat them to death with the Arc Rebellion. Obviously you can't really do that under Eclipse a lot of the time, but on a Droplet you certainly can. And the other game plan is you summon Exciton Knight, try to remove the whole field, then set up some sort of disruption so they can't really play the game afterwards. Just hopefully the Exciton Knight removing the entire field will be enough to basically win the game by itself. Alright. Making redo it once again. Alright. Most of the time you'll be trying to do the winder combo, because like I said at the start, this is the best of the combos by far. So if you have winder, you're probably doing this line of play here. Set 3 and passing, sucking up. Hitting a 10-year card, even though he's playing Blue Eyes. Alright. He's going to try to use his Successor Soul, which is just going to make him lose a card because of Retrograde. He's then going to summon a monster to the field. We're going to shuffle that away. And even if he had some sort of fusion summon here to using the graveyard or something. By the way, he's playing Tyrants, but anyway, if he had some sort of fusion summon here using the graveyard, we could have just used the Bezel to suck it up, and the other trap card, which I believe is in the graveyard, to suck up the other thing. He was completely screwed here. Alright, and yeah, he's just dead on field, so... Alright, final replay, which I believe is also going second. I think it was against Lyralisk, and it's a very quick one if I recall. Incredibly quick. This is the main reason you want to play Droplet at the moment, because Lyralisk is really annoying without it. Even Book of Eclipse isn't as good because of the fact they can make them not take damage for the turn, where Droplet stops them taking damage for the turn. So Vertical, summoning back, searching for a card. Basically making all this stuff untargetable, indestructible, all that kind of jazz. He goes for the full combo actually. I think most people aren't ending on the Assembled at the moment, but this guy ends on the Assembled and the other one as well. He went absolutely all in turn 1 and just hoped. And of course, we've got the Droplet ready. So Droplet discarding, going to be negating 2. 75 Regulator, no Regulator, tribute him off. I think he concedes before I even go too far into this combo. There's a billion ways to lethal through this. He's got, yeah, just 2 months on field with no effect. This is actually just a droplet win right here. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's replays. Hope you guys enjoyed them. If you don't leave a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, hope to see you guys in the next one. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob? Shut up, Mokaba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis. Oh.